how you can vacate wins from a college program, like what happened to Louisville today?
I always think that's a joke because they take away like Reggie Bush's fucking Heisman trophy. It's like, so Michigan's the 2013 national champions. I don't know what that means. Like, do I have to go back and check everybody's bracket from the tournament that I hosted and find a new number one?
That's legit what I was going to say. I want my money back. I'm calling BS.
That's the biggest joke of all time.
And, like, so if the university, why don't they just keep the trophy in the case and say, no, we're not putting it back?
I think it's like the dumbest thing that you can say as a punishment to vacate it. Just take away their fucking scholarships and give them some penalty. But don't take away the championship. That doesn't do anything to anybody.
Yep, and give me back my fantasy, or not my fantasy football, but my March Madness money. And,
no chance.
And let's get loaded.
Your recorder might be better.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast.
We never finish first because we finish last.
Welcome to the Loaded Box Podcast featuring Ben Morgan, DJ Primo, and Fergie kicking off the national anthem.
And welcome to the second official 2018 Winter Olympics podcast as well. So we are back on with some women's shorts figure skating and a little bit of downhill skiing with Lindsey Vonn tonight. It'll be a fun one for us tonight.
Let's get to the important part, though. So I was talking to you about Fergie earlier in the day, and I didn't see it until I finally Google searched it tonight. And why does she get into this low, grunty voice? Like, she looks so hot up there. And then all of a sudden she makes this noise, and I'm just like, goo! Like, leave me alone.
It was like, I'm pretty sure she's just channeling her inner Marilyn Monroe with the, happy birthday, Mr. President, JFK thing. And that's like, seeing what she was trying to do. But everybody was like making a big deal out of, like, I didn't see it live, so I just saw everybody tweet about it. Everybody was making a big deal out of, like, how she was, like, moving her hands. So I thought she was going to be up there, like, groping her titties and shit. And she was literally just moving her hands. And I was really severely disappointed because I hate when people hype things up like that, their movements, and she's barely even moving.
She looks so hot, and then she starts making those noises, and I just...
Is she hot, though? Like, if they close up and, like, you can see her wrinkles and shit through her makeup. She looks like she's 50. How old is she?
Okay, after 11 beers, though, I guarantee you she's like a top 5 hottest girl in the world. Right away, I get what you're saying. Like, there's a little bit something weird with her face. Mm-hmm. But I go from her wanting to be on my face to, like, I want her out. Like, whatever that noise is, just the biggest turnoff. I don't know what that is. I think
the really thing that turned me off wasn't the song. It was the, let's play some basketball. I'm like, you are so stupid.
How did I forget about that part? Yes, I should have had that in there.
That was the worst part ever. Like, it was so fucking awkward. I don't get embarrassed.
Right.
I don't get first-hand embarrassment, much less second-hand embarrassment, but I did there.
Yeah, that was incredible. I'm glad I finally got to witness that, and hopefully you all understand what we're talking about, Fergie's national anthem singing, but on to what we're here for, other than DJ's Olympic.
It feels like we don't podcast for years.
I know, going to one a week, I know I feel empty, but today we're going to highlight the AFC South. All of you crazy enough fans to put up with this struggling division, and people just kind of battle for it every single year, and it seems like mediocrity wins it. But hey,
what do you mean?
There's some promise here.
Jaguars got to the fucking AFC Championship, bitch.
It's a fluke. We'll get to that. But yeah, this is our AFC South offseason preview pod. So, well, hell, let's start with those Jaguars. They went 10-6 last year. As you said, they lost to the Pats in the AFC Championship game. And they are the holders of the 29th pick in the first round. So let's hear it. What do you have for the Jaguars here this offseason?
So I'm looking at these guys, looking at each one of these teams as if I am the GM and I am just breaking it down to my number one priority. So that's the only thing I'm going to go into. What's the number one thing that I need to address to make this team better? That's where I'm going to go. So I'm going to address the one position or area that these teams need to improve. So when it comes to the Jaguars, I'm going to try to get Blake Bortles a number one wide receiver, right?
Okay.
And there's two guys. What?
Yep. Go ahead.
There's two guys I'm potentially eyeing for this wide receiver position that they, as far as free agency goes, not in the draft here. So I'm either looking to re-sign Allen Robinson,
Yep.
whom I think is an excellent wide receiver, but he's coming off that ACL tear, and obviously I can't be there to watch him run routes to see how explosive he is. But I mean, from everything that we've seen of him, he was an explosive wide receiver before that. He had that dominant year 2 years back. So he's a guy, obviously, you look to re-sign him. If not, this guy's not technically a free agent yet. He's still with the Cowboys. But I would hope that Des Bryant gets released.
Yeah, and it kind of sounds like he will. Or there's at least a chance at it anyways.
And I go after him if I'm that. I honestly still see him as a elite wide receiver who suffered because his quarterback struggled without Zeke for 6 games, and his left tackle was out for a few games, Tyron Smith. So, I mean, I just think he suffered because Dak wasn't as good, and he got a lot of criticism then. I still think he's a top 5 talent when it comes to wide receiver in this league. I mean, he was such a freak. I can't just think he'd fall off the earth that fast. Yeah. I just can't. He seems as an elite. And I don't think he would cost a lot either, just because of the bad season.
Right, and people are dogging Dez right now. He's just not getting the love. People are saying he's not worth what he's going to get from the Cowboys, so they might release him. And the biggest thing is, like, they're saying he's lacking explosion. He's not getting separation. Dez was always that guy that was going to make jump ball catches and contested catches anyways. Like, that's who he was.
He's got that. He's strong. He's got, I mean, when he gets the ball, he breaks tackles. He just has, he's like Brandon Marshall to me, honestly. He finds a way to get a little bit of space to get open. You give him the ball, and he makes plays.
Yeah, and the other guy you talked about, Allen Robinson, the injury scares me a little bit, but the one nice thing about him was it happened so early. You have like Carson Wentz and Deshaun Watson who have knee injuries as well, but they happen so much later in the year that you kind of doubt how they're going to come in. And I'm not saying that the injury won't affect Robinson whatsoever, but it happening so early in the season. I mean, if you're going to get hurt, you can do it right away.
But you just don't know how a guy's going to recover. I don't care about when it happened. You just don't know how a guy is going to recover from an ACL. Maybe, I mean, look at Jordy Nelson is immensely slower.
Oh, gosh,
and not near as explosive, and that's just clear.
Right.
As he was the year before his ACL. So I don't know how Allen Robinson reacts. I think he's young enough where Jordy's like 33 years old to bounce back and still be explosive. He's tall, he's long. I think that's my number one guy if I'm going for them, and that they've got so many other wide receivers that kind of came out of the woodwork that can kind of fit in there that they don't need to worry about Marquise Lee. I mean, let somebody else pay him too much money.
Right, because he's a free agent. I was just going to ask you, would you make that a priority, or do you think that's not really that big of a deal?
I think if they get Allen Robinson, I still have more confidence in his explosiveness and his elite than Des Bryant. If it's Des Bryant, I try to keep Marquise Lee.
Yeah.
If it's Robinson, I don't.
Right, I'm exactly right there with you. If you can get him for a bargain, if the market's not all that much for him, like you said, they had guys every single week that just seemed to be spawning. Like they didn't have their top 3 guys when it was all said and done. I mean, and then all of a sudden, D.D. Westbrook, Jaden Mickens, like these guys are just coming out of left field, and they were getting the job done. So I'm with you. If you can re-sign Robinson, I'd make that a priority. Lee, for the right price, maybe, but Westbrook's, he flashed as a rookie. Great preseason.
I forgot about him. I didn't even think about him. Just lots of guys that kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then just the last thing I was going to say in regards to getting a number 1 wide receiver, an explosive wide receiver from Blake Bortles, if I have one of those 2 guys, Dez, Allen Robinson, in that defense, a top running back with an improving offensive line, Blake Bortles should be able to lead this team to compete for the Super Bowl once again, or to the Super Bowl, and not be hesitant, or have the coaching staff not be hesitant to be more aggressive in those tight situations, a la AFC Championship game against the Patriots, where they had a minute. How long did they have? A minute something left, or 55 seconds left, with 3 timeouts at the end of the first half, and they kneeled. Could you imagine the Packers or the Patriots or
Steelers
the
or any
Saints
of those,
kneeling the ball with 55 seconds left and 3 timeouts for the end of the half? Aaron Rodgers would score a fucking touchdown.
Right.
And then when it comes to the draft, I'm gonna hit that with after you kind of go into your.
Okay. Yeah, that bleeds in good talking quarterback, because when I look at like an overview of the Jaguars, obviously the defense is there. It's the offense that needs work, and you're gonna. I know that you're going to have some feedback for this one, but I look at the weaknesses. We talked about wide receiver. They'll be fine. They'll end up getting one of their guys. They'll get a free agent. They just drafted Leonard Fournette. Not too worried there. They could use help at tight end. I wouldn't make that a priority right now. My priority, and this is going to pain you. I hate to say this. I don't even want to see the look on your face. The priority should be quarterback and offensive line. And I talked about this. I want to see a veteran quarterback brought in. Just because they're so close on defense, I want to see a veteran brought in because I think that window might close if you were to trade up and try to get one of the rookie quarterbacks. So if it's Kirk Cousins, which it doesn't really sound like, but I'll throw Cousins, I'll throw Keenum, Foles, whoever. Just bring in someone better than Bortles, and I think that they're right there.
There is nobody better than Bortles. There's nobody besides Aaron Rodgers in this league better than Blake the Boat Bortles. This is my boy, man. He got to see the AFC Championship. He played really well in the AFC Championship game. Didn't get a chance to be more aggressive. They would have I think they would have won that game going away, and had a better game against the Eagles than what the fucking Patriots put up.
I just think, though, if you're looking at this from like a very broad perspective, you say, what do the Jaguars need to do to compete? Yeah, they can bring in some other pieces along, but there's always going to be that little bit of weakness, that bit of doubt with Bortles. Like, if you really want to be serious here and you want to go to the next level, you replace Bortles. You bring in a new guy, and you can still have the weapons you have now, and they'll be fine.
Nope. And wasn't he playing injured like the whole year is what I heard? He had like a shoulder injury the entire year or something?
They say that about everyone who has a disappointing year. Oh, he got hurt week 1.
He didn't have a disappointing year, though. He just didn't throw it a ton.
Yeah, because they don't trust him to throw it a ton. That's the issue.
Nah, they need to because he's that that dude, man.
Yeah. Well, I said I didn't want them to go quarterback in the draft.
Can't.
The angle I would lean towards the draft, what did I say? They have pick number 29.
29, yeah.
So we've seen in recent years, like stud linemen going right away. We had stud linemen like 3 or 4 years ago, and they were going tops. This last couple of years hasn't been like the top tier guys, but the popular spot for them to go has been like the late part of the first round with the teams that already have the good quarterbacks. So if you stick with Bortles, if you end up taking a free agent there, you don't need a quarterback. I would expect offensive line to probably be in play at number 29. Maybe if they let go of Robinson, you could explore taking a wide receiver here. But I really think, regardless of the quarterback situation, whichever way they go with a free agent or if they stick with Bortles, I think it's offensive line here.
Yeah, I echo the sentiment on that one. I just think it's an obvious pick for them to go offensive line here. I think that's just improving in the run game. They had 2 solid tackles, but as far as the inside, the middle offensive line, I think they obviously have to go there. And it's incredible at how high of a rate it seems like first-round linemen are hitting at right now.
Yeah, they're doing well.
Seems like they're doing really well. Mm-hmm. So I think you can get a very solid Wisconsin offensive lineman there.
Absolutely.
Alabama offensive lineman.
Ramczyk last year.
Stanford offensive lineman.
Yeah, Ramczyk last year, end of the first round to the Saints, and you had Garrett Bowles to the Broncos. Both of those guys did really well. They're just a couple of an example, but there's guys out there that I would suspect would be in play there at the end of the first round for them.
100%. I would be surprised if I don't mock them with the offensive lineman there.
Yeah, I'm with you. Any more Jaguars comments, or should we move on to the Titans?
Nope.
All right, Tennessee Titans last year 9-7, made it to the playoffs, lost in that divisional round after beating the Chiefs in the wild card round. Sitting with the 25th pick in the first round. Kick it off here with the Titans.
So if I'm the Titans GM, my biggest worry is the defensive side of the ball.
Bingo.
I think what?
I said bingo.
I think the offense has enough weapons in Henry and Corey Davis, Mariota, Decker, I think, and I don't know, I guess Rashard Matthews. I think they have a young wide receiver in Corey Davis that they think is going to be their number 1. I don't think you use a pick there or go and get someone else there. I think they have enough weapons. They have a great balanced offense. Again, great balance on offense. Their offensive line is solid. And I think, like I said, inside help can be found throughout the draft. I think I think you're going to see. Fuck it.
Did you have a stroke there? Are you trying to mimic me?
I don't know what happened. I think they can find an offensive lineman through the draft instead of through free agency. So that turns my focus on the defense side of the ball. And the Titans were 25th against the pass, but 5th in sacks. And I know you have it in your notes that they're 5th.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
But 25th against the pass.
I know.
In passing yards against them.
Yeah.
So that tells me that secondary is clearly the issue. I saw you put 5th in sacks, so I was like, okay, I want to just go look at how they are against the pass, and I saw 25th, and I was like, how is that possible?
Yep. I don't get it. That's unbelievable. You usually don't see that.
Yeah, so it tells me the secondary is a huge issue for them. Cyprien is a huge cap hit for the Titans and a liability in the secondary.
Yeah.
I think he's gone, so I see them letting him go. So I think they go after a safety here to try to show up a guy who can cover. A couple of younger guys right out there, I think, in Kenny Vaccaro and Eric Reed are potential free agent targets that they could go after. I think the Saints, I don't know what I haven't looked into them yet. I don't know what their sentiment is on Vaccaro, but they do have a lot of guys on that defense that I think they're going to have to pay.
A lot of young guys, too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly, after they improve so much. So
yep.
Vaccaro could be a potential option for them.
Yeah, I was looking at the Titans free agents, and I think that they're going to be more busy this year. If you're a Titans fan, I don't think you're going to really want even any of your own guys. I think their top guy is Eric Decker, and I would probably chalk that experiment up as a failure. I don't think that he really produced too much for them, so I don't see them really re-signing him.
Nobody did, though.
Yeah, that's true. Nobody did.
Delaney Walker.
Yeah, and he's a free agent, I believe, too.
Well, they have Jono Smith.
Or he's going to be a big cap hit, and they can save a lot of money by cutting Walker.
Yeah, and they have a good young tight end
in Smith.
Yeah.
But I just see them being more busy with draft and other people's free agents. When you look at their offseason needs, I'm with you, pass rusher. Like you said, 5th in sacks last year, but their leading outside linebackers and a lot of their sack getters, they're either old or they're going to be free agents after next year. So maybe not finding a guy that's going to start from day one, but can kind of play some third downs here and there, be more of a pass rushing specialist, and then step in 2019. I think interior line, if you look at maybe selecting a guard, targeting guard in free agency, their tackles are great. Taylor Lewan and Conklin, they need help inside, protecting Mariota, creating holes for Henry. And one of the names I saw brought up, I don't remember where I ended up seeing this, but Sammy Watkins being a free agent and maybe looking at Tennessee.
I saw his name on there, but I just feel like he'll end up with the Rams still.
I do as well, but do you even like that pairing of Watkins and Mariota?
I mean, I don't. Why would I not? You put a good wide receiver in any team. It's a good match. So I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to just say no to a good wide receiver. I don't think it hurts anything. And he's a huge deep threat with their play action game. So yeah, actually, might be a better pairing than what you are thinking. I'm guessing. Well,
I'm kind of torn on it because you look at Sammy Watkins. Basically, throughout his career, he hasn't been that guy that gets you those like 7 to 10 catches. He's been like 3 to 5 catches a game, and he'll get a bomb on you.
But he's great at that.
I know, and maybe that wouldn't be a terrible fit. And can you imagine like having him? He's still young. I think he's like 25 years old.
Yeah.
And then you have Corey Davis and Rashard Matthews. Like that'd be a legit receiving core. I'm not totally.
I think he dominates in LA next year.
I hope he does. I want him to stay in LA. I'm not opposed to the Titans taking a look if the price is right.
I think he dominates in LA. Like I think he has a huge year.
Right.
Personally.
Yeah.
Now you guys know who I like in fantasy football.
Right, no kidding. I just think overall, going into 2018, Titans are going to rely on Derrick Henry. I think that's the way they should go. They need to give Corey Davis a chance to make plays, become the guy, and I think just this offseason free agency draft, focus on the defense. Like you mentioned, they were 5th in sacks, couldn't stop the pass, though, had issues against the run, just weren't really... I don't know, all that set. They could go anywhere on defense, and I don't think it would be a bad pick or a bad addition just because of how, especially with how that division is. Like, it's so defense-focused. The Texans' defense was solid a couple of years ago. The Jags have the best defense in the league. Like, I don't know, you might as well follow suit and jump in on that defense and try to bulk that up.
Yeah.
Anything else on the Titans?
Yeah, I actually have a bold prediction here.
Ooh, bold prediction on the Titans. This is really bold.
To me, this seems like a team is set to win now, right? Like they've got their future in the offense, and Derrick Henry, in Mariota, Corey Davis. They've got Dory Jackson, who I don't know how good a Dory Jackson really is. Maybe not a guy that I'm overly excited about, but he can be an exciting return guy.
Yeah.
So he's definitely going to be a huge part of that. So I would not be surprised to see these guys make a big move when it comes to making some trades and losing some first-round picks over the next year or two. And moving up and grabbing a guy, because I've specifically mentioned their secondary, like a Minkah Fitzpatrick. I think to take that next step on defense. We compared them to Jalen Ramsey last draft. The Browns have that 4th pick. They're always open to trades.
Oh, they are swinging deals, yeah.
They always are. I could see the Titans making a huge move and jumping up. What is it? Fucking 15. What do they have? 25th pick. So
yeah,
20-ish
picks.
21 picks.
Yeah. No, I don't. I mean, that's really bold. Obviously, this early in the game, we have no idea what they're going to do in free agency. Nope. The draft is a crapshoot the way it is, especially trying to predict trades. But I don't mind that. The guy's kind of a jack of all trades, and if you can get that guy right away, and the issue is it would cost him a ton, and you're not going up to grab like a premier position like a quarterback, so it might be seen the wrong way. But man, if you hit on that, like if someone would have traded up to take Jalen Ramsey, you'd look like a genius right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Anything else on that?
Nope.
All right. Let's go on to the Indianapolis Colts. Finished a disappointing...
Oh, Lindsey Vaughn's on TV. I've seen her titties.
Thank you for leaked photos and Lindsey Vaughn.
Oh shit, I'm probably going to get sued for that now.
Yeah, you're definitely going to get sued. That's DJ Primo, Madison,
Allegedly,
Wisconsin.
I've seen her titties. I've allegedly seen her tits.
Right. Oh, yes. Let's go on to the Colts. 4-12 last year. Man, sitting high in the draft. Real high. 3rd pick overall. Obviously, no playoffs. Did you want me to lead off on this one?
Yep. Just keep it on going.
Yeah, so I think, obviously, top offseason question priority, it's the health of Andrew Luck and whether or not he's going to play. And what it boils down to, it's just kind of the same as last year. If he plays, I could see this team competing for the division. And if Andrew Luck doesn't play, I don't even know where to start with this team. It's so many questions. Do you stick with Brissett at quarterback? If Barkley's there at number 3, do you take him despite the fact that you took Marlon Mack last year? You also have the fact that the defense was terrible against the pass. Vontae Davis isn't going to re-sign there. It's not like he was lighting the world on fire anyways, but they were so bad against the pass. Do they go ahead and take Minkah Fitzpatrick? There's so many questions right now. I think this team can legit go best player available at 3 since there's so many holes, especially if they don't have Luck. They could legit go just best player available.
So, here, okay, off of that, I think there's one hole in what you said. If they don't have Luck, we're not going to know it come draft time. So they're not going to address a quarterback position in the draft,
right? In
my opinion. But I think it's still, even with Andrew Luck, this team is the biggest question mark, one of the biggest question marks in the NFL. Like, I know the Browns went 0-16, but I think they have less holes to fill.
Oh, I agree. Than the Colts.
Indianapolis Colts they have to fill.
Definitely.
I don't know where you go with them. I know with Andrew Luck, if you're confident he's playing, Saquon Barkley could be that guy that takes that offense to the next level. But you still have a ton of issues on defense.
And Jim Irsay had talked about adding a top-flight running back this year too, which I just don't.
He was drunk, but
he was super high. But I don't understand. Like, it's not like they're writing off Marlon Mack, and these days it seems like you need 2 running backs anyways.
Saquon Barkley gives a fuck who your running back is.
Right, it's true. I'm just looking at their free agents. It's their top free agents anyways. Frank Gore, dinosaur.
Fucking Gore.
Dinosaur Gore.
He's literally dinosaur because dinosaurs are just bones now.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. He is just a bag of bones in a uniform.
Yeah.
The Darius Butler in the backfield, defensive backfield, and Dante Moncrief. So with Gore and Butler being some of their top kind of in-house guys,
free agents, that's disgusting. Like, that's so bad.
I know it's really bad, but having 2 of those guys be starters from last year, that opens the door for a guy like Saquon Barkley or Minkah Fitzpatrick at 3, because you're not only getting a great player, but you're replacing a person obviously that you're going to be losing that was a starter last year.
Personally, I know running backs have started to. They went through an area where running backs weren't as important.
Right.
And then now we're back where we got Ezekiel Elliott and Leonard Fournette drafted kind of early, and now they're making like a comeback, as to say, for running backs. You got a guy like Le'Veon Bell, who I think makes all the difference in the world for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You're going to go best player available. I think Barkley can legitimately make a difference by himself, whether you have luck there or not, and that's a great place to start.
I don't mind it. I made a list of people that I feel they could take at number 3 overall, and it'll be considered a success because they have so many holes. So my list consists of Bradley Chubb, your edge rusher, NC State; Minka Fitzpatrick, cornerback safety hybrid, Bama; Josh Jackson, cornerback, Iowa. I don't see that happening, but you legit can't screw this up too bad. You have the 3rd pick overall. You have holes. Saquon Barkley, Roquan Smith out of Georgia. I even like the idea of trading down and gathering picks because this would be a good idea. This team is not one player away unless Andrew Luck is 100% healthy. And even then, I still don't know if they're one player away. So literally, you could take any of those guys at 3 overall, and I would consider it a successful draft for them.
Dude, they've got speed skating relays on, and this is incredible. These guys like skate across the ice and then they push each other. I love this shit. I think if anybody, I wouldn't be mad if anybody took Saquon Barkley anywhere. So, like, if the Browns took Saquon Barkley at number 1, I would think it would be like they nailed it. I just don't see another player like him. I think he's I think he is that fucking good. Like, he can make so much difference in a team. This is an offensive league. He's gonna wow people. Like, he's that fucking good. If you don't think he's good, you don't think he's amazing, you don't think he's gonna be a top tier running back, I think you're just wrong. Not you, just people in general.
No.
But I think you.
What I like
he's my guy.
The thing is, I like Saquon, but the only thing that would make me nervous about him going to the Colts is the fact that maybe he ends up kind of having a year like what Joe Mixon had, because whether it's poor play calling, a bad offensive line, not throwing him the ball enough, like the team that drafts him should try to throw him the ball. He should get 60 to 65 catches a year.
Oh, yeah.
That should definitely happen. I would just be nervous that and I'm not saying Joe Mixon is a bust. I actually really like Joe Mixon, and I think if they can get another offensive lineman or 2, like, he'll be fine. He just needs to get touches. What I'd be nervous about is
doesn't hit any bitches. I mean, girls.
Or do that, yeah. I would just be a little bit nervous of that offensive line not being good enough to produce for a running back that you're going to take 3 overall. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. He's a great player. That'd just be my one concern if I had to play devil's advocate.
It doesn't matter what offensive line you put a great running back behind. Me being a great running back in my day, it didn't matter. But he'll do it. He'll make plays. He won't have issues. It doesn't matter where you put him. If you put him on the Bengals, he's better than Joe fucking Mixon. He's that talented. It doesn't matter where you put him. He's going to be able to make plays.
I never said he wasn't better than Joe Mixon.
I'm just saying it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where he plays. He's going to make stuff happen.
I'm a big believer in offensive lines. I think you need to have an offensive line. I go by the fact, though, that you give me an offensive line and an average running back over an average offensive line and a really good running back. I'll take that other guy. I think running backs are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, not really, though. Not like Saquon Barkley.
Well, only time will tell.
You think you could get? You think like Le'Veon Bell is replaceable? If you think? I don't know. It doesn't seem viable to me. I take Le'Veon Bell over anyone in any situation.
There's like 3 or 4 of those guys though right now, and it's just.
Saquon's one of those guys. That's my point.
Maybe we have no idea. We've never taken a single snap.
I do have every idea. He is that guy.
The Eagles just won a Super Bowl with LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi, and Corey Clement. Anything is possible, Kevin Garnett.
Yeah, but they have so many other good pieces around it. Running back wasn't the focus of that team.
That's what I'm saying, though. They have a really good good offensive line.
Yeah, they have a great offensive line.
That's why
their running game wasn't like individually great.
No, I'm just saying I will take the team with the great offensive line and the average back rather than the great back with the average offensive line. That's just my stance on it.
Well, what if your quarterback sucks dick?
If your quarterback sucks dick, you're going to be done.
I don't want to be known for suck dick at fucking pussy or whatever that super bad line is.
Yeah, you kind of murdered that one.
It's something about Ah, fuck it.
Yeah, good work. Let's go on to the team that shared the
Wait, I
basement
didn't
with
get
the
to say
Colts.
my part yet.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, if I were the GM of the Colts and I had to make a decision, I'd just quit.
Yeah, that's always an opportunity. I mean, you just had a coach turn
Yeah,
his
I'm
back
saying
on
what
you.
I'd do if I were GM. I'd quit.
Yeah. How about that though? You go from Josh McDaniels for a couple of hours, he quits,
Yep.
and then you end up with Frank Reich. Like, I don't know. There's just that's he could be fine. He could be the next Doug Peterson for all I know. It's just not the sexy name. I don't know. I feel
Did
like they.
I saw Pat McAfee kind of snuck into his head coaching introduction or whatever, and he did coach McAfee for a while. And I like the guy just based off of personality, so I'm kind of cheering for him.
Frank Reich?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever heard him talk.
Oh, I'm just saying I watched Pat McAfee's works for Barstool now, and I watched him and his personality, and he seemed like a cool guy. So I'm cheering for him.
Cool story, bro. Let's move
Yeah,
on to the
thanks.
Texans. Shared the basement with the Colts, as I was trying to say before you limped in with your quitting. 4-12. They don't pick until the third round, barring trade, because of that Watson trade. Did you want me to lead this one off, or do you want to go?
It doesn't matter, I don't think.
Well, kick it off.
All right, the number one thing this is like my go-to sentence. The number one thing I do if I'm the Texans GM, I think clearly here they're set at their front seven on the defensive side. They can get to the quarterback, right? They're scary good with Jadeveon and potentially healthy
It's
J.J. Watt. who I
all
fucking
health.
hate.
It's all
Yeah.
health.
And some other young defensive linemen they have. But I think secondary is a very weak point for them. If I truly believe, if I'm the GM and I truly believe they can be a top offense, secondary is where I'm looking. That's where I'm cracking down. I'm going to help that offense out by not giving up 8,000 points. And fuck, maybe I should have had you go first. But I'm looking at safety position.
Yep.
I'm looking at guys. I'm looking at secondary, I should say. Not just safety. I'm looking at cornerback safety. They're weak all around. Kevin Johnson isn't who they want him to be. Both safety is replaceable. I think you're still, again, we mentioned this before. Vaccaro, Eric Reed, I mentioned. And at cornerback, guys like Tremaine Johnson and Malcolm Butler, who not a lot of people are mentioning after this whole Super Bowl controversy, are potential free agent quarterbacks. Malcolm Butler's going somewhere else, right?
Absolutely. He's no way staying in New England. So yeah.
It seems like a Bill O'Brien Texans move to go after a guy coming from the Patriots.
It does. It really does. It smells that way.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them go after a Malcolm Butler. And did you mention the fact that they have like no picks for like 100 rounds?
They don't pick until the third round.
Because they traded Dwayne Brown to get Deshaun Watson and a bunch of picks, right?
Yeah, the whole Watson deal was a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brock
So-
Osweiler.
Any of their movement, any of their little cap space they have to use at either a potentially offensive line or secondary.
Yeah. When I
They're
look
not
at
going to do it. They're not going to address big positions, I think, in the draft, obviously, with no picks.
with no picks, exactly. I kind of compare them to the Colts. Honestly, their biggest offseason question, just like Indianapolis with Luck, is the health of the quarterback, because we had Watson who ended up getting hurt in the middle of the season, so you don't really know when he does come back how he's really going to be. If you look at their in-house free agents, you talked about their secondary. You got Marcus Gilchrist at strong safety and Jonathan Joseph at cornerback, and those are their biggest names. But honestly, neither of those guys are great. But the free agents at that position, what scares me is it's not much of an upgrade. I read earlier that Kenny Vaccaro probably isn't likely to sign in Houston. And outside of Tremaine Johnson, you talked about Malcolm Butler, but he flashed every once in a while, but he was a liability every once in a while. So I'm not sure outside of Tremaine Johnson, any of these free agent quarterbacks are any better than Jonathan Joseph. So maybe for the right price, you could re-sign him, but he's not a huge difference maker. I really wish that Deshaun Watson just wouldn't have gotten hurt so we could truly see what this team's record would have been with an actual quarterback, because right now you see a 4-12 team with a quarterback coming off a knee injury, and they don't have a pick until the third round. So it's kind of hard to be positive about this. I'm with you. So on defense, I think they're really set on the offensive skill position for the time being. They could maybe upgrade at tight end, but they got to target defense. especially secondary, as you mentioned earlier. The numbers were, I think you might have been searching for them, 24th versus the pass, 13th versus the run. I don't think they even need to be picky. Just bring defenders in at this point. And either way, 13th against the run is legit average. So just target defense, and I don't know. That's the way I would go with it. DJ? All right, DJ's back with us. Go ahead.
I fucked up.
The cough button got you.
Yeah, I hit the cough button, grabbed a beer, forgot to turn the cough button back on, off, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. But the other thing I think they could address is their offensive linemen. Their offensive line is honestly, it's kind of garbage.
Right.
It really is. So that's another big area that they have to address. There's guys out there I think they have to take. I think they have to make a move at offensive line. If at least one. There's guys like Nate Solder, left tackle, Luke Jokel at guard, Greg Robinson, Josh Sitton. He's older, but right now they're trying to. They think they have a top offensive line. They have a top offense. They need to protect that quarterback who just tore his ACL, that they think can be all world. They have some solid running backs in that backfield in Foreman and Miller. Gotta give Watson time to get the ball to Hopkins and Will Fuller. I think you really need to do something with that offensive line, and you're not going to be able to do that in the draft if you don't have any picks.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if they think that they are close, and if they think Watson is healthy,
they think that.
It's almost like they should try to trade back in and get a first or a second round pick.
Yeah, it almost does seem like that, right?
Yeah, but the bad part is,
but they just did it.
That's the thing. They just did it. You can't do that year after year. You're going to keep playing from behind.
You're not going to have any picks.
Exactly. You're going to have a draft at some point where they don't even pick. They don't even show up.
Fuck it. We're out.
So it's almost kind of like, well, you just take this year as a rebuilding year, get Watson healthy, get another year under his belt, let the offense kind of gel, and then really attack in 2019. It's kind of hard to say that. It's not like you're tanking a year, but that'd be my hesitation. Like, I would be like, I don't have a pick till the third. I want to trade back in and get somebody, but I just don't think that you can do that right now because it sets yourself up for future failure. All right, so I want to pose this question to you about the Texans. What % chance do you give Houston on being a top 5 offense if Watkins does return to 100%?
Radio silence. You had me thinking. Like, everybody's going to get so angry at me. I don't give a fuck, though. I'm Mr. Controversy. 25%.
That's not bad. That's a good percentage.
I don't think they're that good. I don't think Deshaun Watson is what he looked to be because people haven't got tape on him. I think he's going to come down to earth. If he puts up fucking 1,000 yards a game and runs around like he did, he's the best quarterback to ever play. If he just does that every game, that's not going to happen. Like, some people's expectations of what he's going to do is unrealistic based off of those few games that he played before he tore his ACL.
Yeah.
It's not going to continue like that. He's going to have a lot of bad games, especially early.
It's funny
he's
that
going to struggle. He's going to throw some interceptions. He's going to make some mistakes. He's going to fumble. He's going to do that.
It's funny that you said 25% because I legit said 25% when I was going to say it. Yeah, because I just went through the teams real quick before we did this, and I wrote down the 6 teams that I think would probably be most likely to be in that top 5 range. And you've got the Eagles, Patriots, Steelers, Saints, Packers, Rams. So
why didn't you name the Packers first?
I just went through the list. I could see the Eagles. Let's say Wentz doesn't play right away. Who knows what's going to happen with Foles? They could take a step back. Tom Brady's another year older. There's a lot of weird things going on with him and the staff. Maybe they take a step back. Pittsburgh, I like on paper. You never really know what they're going to do. New Orleans, I'm pretty confident with the 2 running backs and Breeze and Michael Thomas. Packers, as long as Rodgers is healthy, they're almost a shoo-in to be a top 5 offense. And the Rams look like they are, but they've only done it for 1 year, so I don't really know. But
you never know how good Atlanta's going to be. Carolina's going to be.
Yeah, yep. Atlanta was kind of knocking on the doorstep just because of the people they have, but the execution's not there. What about the 49ers? I mean, a super small sample size with Garoppolo. I put Houston in front of that.
I don't know. That's tough. I'm not that high. I'm not as high.
On Garoppolo?
I like Carlos Hyde
Yeah.
I like Carlos Hyde better than every running back on Houston. And they like Breida for some reason, but I think Carlos Hyde is amazing.
Yeah. I just think it was funny that we both gave it 25%
Yeah.
though, because I mean
I
they
don't
were
like.
getting it done
Yeah.
though when Watson was there and he was playing it, and they weren't even expecting him to contribute right away. I remember Savage started the first half of the first game, and that didn't go well. Watson came in, and geez, a couple of weeks later, he looked like the damn best quarterback in the NFL. Who knows if it comes back that way? But I like the 25%. I can get behind that.
I think Garoppolo has a better chance of being a good quarterback, an elite quarterback, than Deshaun
Watson.
Watson.
Ooh. Well, let's sit on that. Let's leave them wanting more. Let's wrap this puppy up. As always, check us out on Twitter. If you have any questions, find us at Loaded Box. Check out our website. What did I tell you? 14 countries?
Yep.
14 countries. Thank you for all the people that are listening that don't even understand us. Loaded
I
Box
like that you mentioned the
Podcast.
countries with the Olympics going.
Yeah, fuck the Olympics. Loadedboxpodcast.wordpress.com. Check us out on our next episode. Not sure what it's going to be yet. Might be a divisional recap. It might be an NFL draft position that we have a guest on for. Who knows? We'll leave you in suspense here, but check us out. Find us on iTunes. Search Loaded Box, subscribe, rate, and review. And with that, oh, I should have had Fergie close us out here, but I'll let you do it instead.
Bye.
Fergie.